when I tell you that I have no feelings towards my professional success, you'd be baffled. I'm on the other side of the fence on this. I don't give a shit that I'm Garyvee. I don't give a shit that I'm good at making money as an entrepreneur. I think none of that means anything, and no one should treat me in any shape or form different because I have a lot of followers, or I'm good at making money, or I say nice things. I just know, and have known since I was 10. This is why I was a bad student. I was a bad student because I didn't feel attached to needing to get A's and B's. I love that you're going down this path. This is why I'm double clicking on this. Like, I know that you're about to say a bunch of great shit, but I also assume, because you've had a lot of success, that we can see a lot of that shit on the internet. Because like, it's the same with me. You can see my core principles out there every day. What we're talking about, you and I right now, is actually going to change the course of 5 or 6 people's lives out of the 100,000s that are listening right now, or over the course of the next couple of years. Because it's those early days of attaching to something. It's not just a star quarterback. This is why I'm so scared of school. Being an Ivy League student, those kids are failing left and right every day as well in their 20s and 30s, because all they wanted to be was a straight A student, go to Ivy League, and then you're 22, and now what? By the way, for all the kids that are listening right now, your charisma and ability to talk is a monster talent. And sometimes you guys and girls downplay that. Don't. Obviously, you've got to back it up with a stake to that sizzle, but do not downplay charisma. It's no different than being born super funny, super attractive, super motivated, super athletic. It is one of the other pillars of God-given talent, one that society does not talk enough about. Charisma is a big deal.
Yeah, and it's a muscle you can work too, by the way, Gary. You can
100%.
You can get better at it. And look, just a little side note, man, I talk to people all the time. They're like, hey man, I want to be more outgoing, but I have this fear of confrontation, or this fear to get out and talk to people. Listen, I do things I'm afraid of so I can do things I'm afraid of. The more you address these fears and deal with that, especially speaking to people and being out front and outspoken, the better you get at it. But I was born with that though, Gary.
Yes, you were born with that gift, but you also lived a life that got you to places of adversity, which then put things into perspective. I tell a lot of people, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? The job's going to say no? Well, then you move on. What's going to be the worst thing that happens? That boy or girl says no, they don't want to go on a date with you. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to make 50 videos, nobody watches, and you're going to do something else. Like, people create this fear of judgment that doesn't exist.
It's in their head.
100%.
It's all in your head.
Before we go into how meth got into the system and all that you set us up with, and this is so damn important, big moment in the podcast, was your decision to go to Wall Street 2004, 96, you were 20, so you're 28 at this point or so?
2004, yeah, 28.
Was it now, hey, I want to make as much money as possible and Wall Street's a thing?
You nailed it, dude. The vices, man. I wanted to party. I wanted something that would support a lifestyle of partying, hanging out, making money. I mean, at that age, Gary, I didn't understand the important things in life. One of the reasons why I like your content, I'm gonna back up a little bit and talk about something I've learned from you, is you went an entirely different path. You realized by the time you were young that you were meant to do something bigger. You took your dad's wine business and you blew it up. You were doing things in your 20s that now in my 40s, I'm able to start making those roads. But I was late to the game, Gary. I was late to the game because I got distracted.
Yeah, the good news is, look, and by the way, for all the kids listening home, I would argue I went a little too far because at 47, 48 years old, there's certain things I didn't develop. I probably didn't get enough fun out of the system. Listen, there's a great Russian saying that translates to everything's at its best when it's balanced, right?
Yeah.
And I think to your point, I was on one extreme where like, listen, I'm thrilled and pumped with every aspect of my life, knock on wood. And one of those is why? The question always becomes why? Why did you want to party and things? I always think like, first of all, I think that's incredibly normal. I think anybody of the age of 15 to 30 has some percentage of them, some is 10%, some's 100% that wants to hook up, that wants to party, that wants to be popular. Like that's normal human behavior. But when you start going through the path, unfortunately, too many people want to do it because they don't have self-confidence and they don't love themselves. and they need that drug of others liking them and all those vices. And then for me, I think I went a little bit too far. Like I'm proud to say this, and I think people that go to VCon or really know me, like I think I love my parents like probably a little bit too much, right? And so for me, I was obsessed with, I had a sense that I had a talent as well, and I was gonna milk that in my 20s to do big for my parents, because I always was very grateful that they raised me well and took me out of the Soviet Union to America. And I've been always grateful. And so that's kind of how my story played out. But I think the balance of the two, as people are listening, I don't want them to overcorrect into my direction, because I think, it would have been okay in my 20s to go on a vacation for a week. Like that would have been okay. Everything would have been still fine. And I think to your point, like you can have fun, but you can grow up. The best part is 40s is still young. I'm pumped that you have your whole life in front of you. All of a sudden when you're 80, that window of 15 to 28 or to 35 or whatever window you're about to explain us, that's gonna be a small blimp. Right now, it's still a big percentage of your life. This is what I want. I want people to get excited in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s to realize when you're 90, 15 years was a small blip. You're on that path now.
Absolutely, and it's never too late. It's never too late to turn around. I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day, and you were talking to the other guy you were talking to about, the stuff you're even doing now. You're looking forward to the stuff you're doing 40 years from now.
Bro, I'm in such a weird place. I know we're bouncing around here, but like this is gonna get you pumped, and I think this will bring value. This is why I'm jumping in. I kind of weirdly pretend I've done nothing. Like that's how I talk to myself. I'm like,
I love it, man. I do the same thing. It's called the rookie mindset. I got a rookie mindset.
Like, I'm kind of like, okay, cool, but like, not really. Like, fuck it, it's all gone. Today's day one, and like, let's go fucking crush.
If the decision you make doesn't turn out to be the right decision,
I move on.
How do you move on? Like, how do you not dwell on that?
By not overjudging myself.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Thank you.
And let's play it out. Like, what are you gonna beat up yourself the rest of the year?
Yeah.
Like, to me, life is about alternatives. I make decisions super fast. I make decisions because the speed of the decision is more valuable than the debate. Because if I'm right, I'm right. And if I'm wrong, who gives a fuck? I'm sitting up here as a byproduct of getting Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn right. I spent a lot of time on Peach, on Social Cam, on Vero, on Vidler. Those didn't work out. When you make decisions and you don't dwell, the net outpaces. Everybody here is trying to, in the world, what you're asking is you're trying to be 3 for 3, right? You want to be 3-0. 3 right decisions, no wrong decisions. I'm trying to be 118 to 92. Got it?
No.
Let me explain. Everybody's looking for perfection because perfection is a disguise of insecurity. I'm just doing because I'm not worried about the ramifications.
Okay.
As long as you're not dead or out of business, no mistake is a big deal. Where this goes is people being worried about judgment. See, I like it best when things look bad. I'm a wartime general in a world of peacetime generals. That's an entrepreneur. That's why I'm scared people are getting into this when they're not. You starting a business with that being a top concern is a humongous vulnerability. Doesn't mean you can't get over it. I'm just trying to make sure during this era of everybody being a fucking entrepreneur, that entrepreneurs need to really communicate what it's about so that other people don't just go into it because it looks good, because it's really hard to be a zebra when you're a fucking penguin.